Alright guys, so I want to show you a little project I made. It's basically just a little text editor. Nothing's really too special about it. I'm just going to the Git repository I have for it. I really no need for a Git repository, but all it really is kind of like a dupe of the Windows Notepad. Really nothing special. You open it, there you go. It's a basic graphical application. You can load files from your disk. Let's do something like I don't know how much of text files. Probably not as testing. We'll do this D-message file. Real simple. It's just the D-message output I have from sometime when I was troubleshooting something. But you can, you could load files. You can edit this file, and we can do like I don't know at the top. Let's go to the top here, and let's do hi. And if we load this file, it'll have these same, you know. I don't know why it goes to the bottom of the page. That might just be a no. Hold up. Hi. Well, I don't know why it's not saving. If we let me actually. Maybe it's a little bug I have to fix there. Okay, well, I lied to you. I need to fix that. I'm not sure why that's not working. Maybe some issue with a function I made. But the save as function does work, so you could just do, I don't know, save as. You could do like this. And I should save that. But anyways, I can load files. I didn't actually make a new option. That was kind of silly of me. Oh, I need to do that. But anyways, yeah, you can edit text, stuff like that. Change the font size if you really need to. You know, like 20. That way you can see it better if you're on a smart monitor or you just want a larger font size. Real simple. And there's a little help page that basically tells you what it's about. So anyways, let's look into a little bit of the code there is for this. Just use Vim for this. So let me open up all the little modules I have for it. They're going to say errors because I don't think my IDE has been configured for this package. There's some other crap you got to do for that. But anyways, so start the main method of this, which is real simple. You know, your main method, and I guess kind of the main class. Basically, you're opening the frame from frame.frame, which is this file, which basically most of the logic of the program's in here. But this is just so you can process the arguments of the program. If you type it into the terminal, like for example, if I'm put a term right now, if we go like here, Java jar, text out of that jar, and then we say like readme, it will actually load this in from the terminal. Not really like a super big feature, but it exists. So quite literally, that's all that happens here. But here's where all the juice is. So right here, we're just declaring all the objects that are used throughout this program, besides some of the local stuff down here. But basically, what we got going on is we're declaring the JText area, which is actually where all the text is stored. Like if, for example, when I open this is actually the JText area where all the text is stored from the actual file's content. And there's all the menu options, the menus, and then the menu bar. So the way these actually work and swing is menus, you have the menu bar, and then you'll add the menu items to it. And then there's actually a method in JFrame where you actually set the menu bar. For some reason, I'm not sure if I need this, but I added it to the frame, and then I set it to the north, so that way it's on the top of the screen. And I am using the border layout, which is kind of like you have a north, south, west, and east, and in the center, which just takes up the rest of the space if there's nothing there. And I'm setting the default size to 1000 by 1000. It doesn't really matter. You could probably just use the .pack, but it would look really weird because it'd be a tiny window if you don't have any text in there. So, anyways. The default operation is exit and close because I haven't set it up to where you can, like, it actually compares the buffer of the text area and the actual file's contents. That's something I need to figure out and fix the save feature. I don't know why this isn't working. I think maybe when I load it, it just doesn't save the file name. That could be a problem. Yeah, I don't know. That's something we'll have to figure out. But anyhow, so we're basically just adding all the components here, like the file, the actual bar, the file menu, and then we're now initializing the action listener on all these objects, which if you go down here, this is where pretty much all the logic for the program is. You have, for example, this actually is from the action listener interface, which you just implement this into your JFrame instance. I'm not exactly sure how you would do that without doing this. I think you could maybe make an object. I don't know. You'd probably have to implement your main function, or the function or the class you're doing this in to implement action listener if you didn't want to extend JFrame and just declare JFrame and all the crap like that. But anyways, so what it does is there's this event that gets source, which action event basically returns an event, or add an event as its parameters. I'm assuming when you click a button, the action listener feeds the event part of this into this method, which I overrided from this interface. And then all this does is if the event gets source, returns load, save, save as, font, or about, which are all the objects I've created in this frame. It will actually do whatever's in these if statements. So like for example, if you click on load, it will open the file chooser, show open, and then if the file chooser approves this option, it will just basically load this. It'll use these methods I created in file op to actually load the buffers into this, which I'll show you here in a second. Zipping here, save as, just opens the save menu, and then does all the same input output, and also sets, same as over here, sets the file path and the title, so that way you know what file you're working on. You don't have to guess. The font thing is kind of different. Basically, just to float as a font size, you have to initialize this outside of this, otherwise I can't. Otherwise it does some funny stuff, because you can't auto-close the font. But anyhow, well, I can tell you why. It's because I have it in a while loop, or do while. But basically, you'll enter a font size, and if you type, a string that's not just like a font size, it will give you an error. And this an error message will pop up, which I can show you guys real quick. It's real simple. If you go to options, font, you type out, let's say let's do like GG or something. Yeah, tell you to type about font size, and you can even click nothing. So I was like 22.2. Real simple. Nothing crazy there. And the about part, which is this, just basically shows it's like an old program, so these always have like an about, or like in a like GIMP or something, where there's the about on the menu bar. All it does is just tell you what the program's about. Not really much going on here. You just create a dialog window. This is just basically just shows dialogue. That's the point of it. And there's the JLabel, which is actually contained within this. This is easier to make it with a JLabel than just putting on top of the dialogue. So for example, I have a string that's put in there, which I guess I don't need a single line string, so I don't really need this. But and then there's the actual app image, which is the icon on the app here. So, and then it just centers everything. And then from there, I'll just set the text position to underneath that, the icon, and then center it. I use the flow layout, even though I don't think I really need this. It's just there because when I was constructing this, I just had it in the flow layout. And just because I never added anything else to it. Set the font size here. Basically, I'm just grabbing the font from the label, getting the font, and then deriving the font, and just setting the size to 20. And I have to convert it to a float. That's what the F's there for. Then I basically just add the label to the dialog. I pack it, don't set it resizable, and then set it visible. And then there's this method here, which is actually only used once. I honestly don't know why I did this the way I did. I need to probably make this neater. And it just feeds the text from the argument 0, loads it, prints it, and then you run this method from frame, and it'll just set the text data and give you the file name. So, well, that's really all there is to this program. There's not really much else going on. It's just very simple. It's almost like Notepad. I really need to make it to where the save function works. I don't know why it's not working. See if there's any error. There's no errors in the terminal. But I mean, if we, okay, I guess it does work. I'm not exactly sure why it's inconsistent, but I'll have to figure that out. That's just a little bug. Anyway, that's really all there is for this this project. I'm going to try to expand it a little bit more. Maybe add like some more font options and maybe a little bit more like a built-in copy and paste thing, like how there's a Notepad, and then also I need to create a new option. But that's really just the gist of it for now. So let you guys know what I do with it. But I'll see you guys later.